So we're distributors of Hindalco's Totalis series, which is a new series which they brought in. The construction industry, especially in India, is booming a lot.
This is also new and you are also new.
Taking up the product is actually giving me a clean slate because there is no prior experience of anyone with the product, especially in Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry. They have a very positive response towards the product itself. And since again I am not from the industry, it made a lot more, sense to go speak to architects, speak to builders, speak to fabricators. And
Namaste, Vanakkam, and welcome to the Success Secrets podcast. It's one of a kind of a podcast where we interview entrepreneurs to know their success secrets. And today on our show, we have somebody really interesting. It's Mr. Jinesh Sethia into the construction industry where he specializes in using aluminium to create stunning views. So, with that, I welcome Jinesh for being here today on the
thank
podcast.
you so much for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jinesh, for accepting the invite and being here today. So, quickly as we start, Jinesh, you look pretty young today, and a little bit more about your career and how you have come to this decision of being an entrepreneur.
First of all, thank you so much, Aakash, for having me on the podcast. I started my journey working at a venture capital firm. So did a bit of finance, worked with startups, spoke to investors to raise money. That was how I started, and then worked in Goldman Sachs for a year and a half. Was part of multiple teams over there, from trade and settlements to compliance and KYC teams. But then, always had this thing in me that I want to start my own business. And when this opportunity came knocking, it made a lot more sense to, just take that leap, start something of my own. So here I am.
Yeah, super. So, having known Jinesh's family for quite a long, so his brother and his father are both successful entrepreneurs and are into multiple ventures. So now the next question: why a new venture and why do you want to do it alone?
So one interesting thing about the business that we started was that there's already ample amount of products in the market, but no one is able to provide the quality that we are doing. So we're distributors of Hindalco's Totalis series, which is a new series which they brought in quite some time back. Now they're able to provide a new kind of product which is not being done at the market currently at the price range that they provide it at. When they approached us for taking up the distributionship in all of Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry, it made a lot more sense because the construction industry, especially in India, is booming a lot, and there is a lot more consumption of aluminium which is happening right now post the 2014 phase when UPVC had come into the market and people have started taking a lot more aluminium. They're looking at much more premium products. So that is why when we saw the product, we decided that it makes sense, to come into the market and see what we can do, how we can disrupt the space at the moment.
Brilliant. So my next question
Yes.
would be that since you're dealing with Hindalco's Totalis series, I would say it is actually a newer product in the market.
Yes.
And again, you're also very new. So would it be right to say that just because this is also new and you're also new, the kind of the synergy and the vibe and the energy matched between the both, and that's why you're taking it forward?
Yes, absolutely. So taking up the product is actually giving me a clean slate because there is no prior experience of anyone with the product, especially in Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry. So they've used the product up north, where they've done multiple projects in Mumbai, in Delhi, in Uttar Pradesh, and we were the first ones to take it for the whole of South. And when that happened, it made a lot more sense because we were going on with the idea of having a clean slate, and the product is so good that whenever we go pitch to architects, fabricators, or builders, they have a very positive response towards the product itself. And since again I am not from the industry, it made a lot more sense to go speak to architects, speak to builders, speak to fabricators, and to understand what are their viewpoints. Why are they now shifting from UPVC to aluminum? There's so many builders who've already made the switch. So just understanding all of those things was very interesting. And as you mentioned, since for me it was a clean slate, I was the first one to take up the product in all of Tamil Nadu, Pondicherry. Made a lot more sense. And again, since the product is also fairly new, I was able to understand what are the requirements, speak to people up north, see what their feedback was, and take it into consideration when we were pitching the product over here. And I can say that there's been good reception from fabricators especially.
Brilliant. So coming to the next question. So if you see in the civilization, the human civilization, humans per se have been, fond of using brass, gold,
Yes,
right,
yes.
copper. Now, in the last 50 years, you see they've moved towards steel,
Hmm.
but you have chosen aluminum. That's a
Yes.
different choice you have made.
So there are multiple reasons for that. People do use a lot of steel in construction, but when it comes to the external facade or the looks of the building, steel is not so much used per se, because there are multiple properties which aluminum has which steel does not have. So say for example, aluminum does not rust. You can provide a powder coating or anodize the aluminum and give it a finish which you will not get in steel. That is one. Second is also that in aluminum you have about 150 plus color options that you can get. So if you want a normal, you want your windows to be made in pink, or you want it with wood finish but without wood, without the problem of termites, that is also possible. And then at the moment, aluminum is used in almost all major buildings. When it comes to the Burj Khalifa, when it comes to places where you're looking at increasing in height and also providing a glass facade or a glass exterior, aluminum is the go-to metal of choice. So for fabricators, for architects, even for the engineers. So that is why it made a lot more sense, to start off with this and see how we can, take things forward with aluminum itself.
That's that's great to know. But okay, would it be right to say that aluminum is the metal which we could look out for in the next 50 years?
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
So one thing about the aluminum that we use, and this is important, is that it is T66063. Now the material that we use is almost virgin aluminum with a little bit of configuration for the use case that we have. We provide these certificates especially to architects for them to understand that when you're looking at aluminum, it is not just that you're looking at a metal, you're also looking at 100% reusable metal. So tying back to the climate change conditions, the India agreement, Paris agreement, signing of all of those things, and the goal that our prime minister has for 2070, it becomes a lot more important that you have material, or you use material which is more recyclable, more sustainable, and aluminum is that. So aluminum is 100% recyclable material, and it is made for the future.
Brilliant. So, coming to the most important, most relevant question to this podcast. So, I believe that your initial success
Mhm.
actually lies in the differentiation and the different choices you have made.
Yes.
That comes with a foresight into the future. So, how did you develop this skill of yours, which is most important for any entrepreneur who's starting out?
The most important thing I think is feedback. So you have to be in touch with what is happening and who are the decision makers for the product that you have. For me, it is architects and builders, and by God's grace, I was able to talk to at least 200 different architects, 50 plus builders, and during that conversation and speaking to them, being able to understand that they're also looking forward to aluminum as a product, they're also looking at what are the next things that are happening in the space, and just that feedback from them, that if this is possible or not possible, and making sure that I'm in constant touch with them and their teams to understand what their requirements also are. So for any success as an entrepreneur, it is very important that you are in touch with your customers and with your clients, so you get feedback and you work on the feedback that you get.
Brilliant. So, as the saying it goes, feedback is the breakfast, lunch, and dinner for champions. And I believe that Jinesh has nailed it. So, coming to the next important question, all right? What does your target client look like? Who are the decision makers? Who are the influencers? And how does the usage come into place? Because aluminum is a complex metal to crack. So,
Right.
how do you go about
So
that?
for me, the decision makers are generally people who make specifications for other people. Say, for example, an architect is the one who will make the plan of the floor, how the building needs to be made, what is the size of the building, etc. So that is one decision maker. The second would be a builder, again, because a builder is much more towards a costing perspective. They understand, okay, if I'm using a product, what is it that I'm being charged for, and what is it I can charge forward. So it becomes very important for me to keep in constant touch with architects and builders, because these are the decision makers in my business.
Brilliant. So, with that, tell me one big project you've closed recently. What's the order value
Mhm.
and what's the kind of material you're supplying and when it's going to get executed?
So we're actually in terms of just fulfilling one order for about 45 lakhs for one of the builders in Chennai, and the material has already been supplied. It's just that we're waiting for the fabricator to finish with his assembly and then install it at the site. So this one project I'm really looking forward to because it's at a very premium location in Chennai.
Brilliant. So we're gonna see the videos and the usage of the
Absolutely.
products as
Absolutely.
soon as possible.
Yes, we will.
That's great. So Jinesh, as we all know that you're very young and you're successful in your business. So what is three tips which you would want to give to
Mhm.
our viewers who are young
Mhm.
and starting out as entrepreneurs?
Right. So, first of all, would be a lot of market research because, again, my family being in business and not from the field was one thing where I think my market research and the way I was able to get access to people and just speak to them with regards to, what the product, are you seeing a future for the product, etc., before we jumped into the business. So, have a very good market research that you do for yourself before you start any business. And second, once you start operating in the business, have a very good understanding, I would say, of the product. So if, say, for example, you're even hiring a technical person, you should be the second best technical person in your company because you are also the first salesperson for the company. So to be able to technically convince, to know your product is very important when you're going and selling in the market. And third will be in close touch with the financials, especially for a business entrepreneur and a business owner. Because if you don't know what money you're making, what margins you're making, in the end you're just operating. It's a slow death basically. So you don't know if you're making money or not making money, and I feel that that would be a poison hidden in an apple, something sort of thing. So three things: one, do your market research about the product before you jump into the business. Second, you should be the second best technical person if you already have a technical person in your company. If not, then you are the first and the go-to person for any kind of technical queries with regards to your product. And third is be in touch with the financials. I know a lot of people dislike looking at the numbers because it provides a sense of reality, but it is actually very important for a business owner.
Brilliant. And I believe that I'm going to keep these three things close to my heart whenever I'm going to discuss with an entrepreneur on what would be the keys to success. And I would just like to add one more thing to this is that as entrepreneurs, as we go on this journey, it is going to be endless. It's not
Right.
something we start today and we are going to stop it in 6 months or a year's time. It's day in and day out. So when you design your workflow, your life flow, make sure you have all elements in place. That's one. And the second point, which Jinesh told, that you should be the second best technical guy, the second best sales guy, the second best accounts guy in your, is because it goes by a saying that you don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but
Absolutely.
you should know stuff so that you can manage the smartest people in the room. With that, thank you, Jinesh, for being here.
Thank you so
And
much for the call.
signing
Thank you so
off
much for
from
the
the
invitation.
Success Secrets podcast. If you liked it, please hit the subscribe button, follow it, share it to as many as aspiring entrepreneurs you can. And until the next time we meet you, sayonara.